Singapore is a small island with no large rivers, no big lakes, and very limited land to store water, yet today it has one of the safest and most reliable water systems in the world, and this did not happen by luck, it happened because Singapore treated water as a survival issue from day one. When Singapore became independent in 1965, it had almost no natural water sources and depended heavily on Malaysia for water. This was dangerous because water supply could be used as political pressure. Singapore's leaders understood that without water the country could not survive, so they made water security a national priority. The first step Singapore took was to protect every drop of rain that fell on the island. Instead of letting rainwater flow into the sea, Singapore slowly turned the whole country into a rain catchment system. Today about 2/3 of the entire land area of Singapore is used to collect rainwater. This includes rooftops, roads, parks, drains, and canals. Rainwater is carefully guided through a network of drains and canals into reservoirs. Singapore built many reservoirs across the island, including Marina Reservoir, which is located right in the city. This was a big decision because most countries keep reservoirs far away, but Singapore had no space, so it built them wherever possible, even in urban areas. These reservoirs store rainwater and also help control floods. Flood control and water supply were designed together so nothing is wasted. The second big step Singapore took was cleaning up its rivers and canals. In the past, many rivers were polluted with waste, sewage, and industrial discharge. Instead of ignoring this, the government launched massive cleanup programs. Industries were forced to treat waste, homes were connected to proper sewage systems, squatters were relocated, and strict laws were enforced. This took many years and cost a lot of money, but it turned dirty rivers into clean water sources. Once rivers were clean, they could be used to collect and store water safely. The third major solution was recycling water. Singapore created what is called NEWater. NEWater is high-quality reclaimed water made from treated wastewater from homes and industries is first cleaned using conventional treatment, then it goes through advanced membrane filtration, reverse osmosis, and ultraviolet disinfection. This removes bacteria, viruses, chemicals, and salts. The result is extremely pure water, so pure that it is often cleaner than normal drinking water. Some of this NEWater is used directly by industries that need very clean water, such as electronics and pharmaceutical factories. The rest is added into reservoirs where it mixes with rainwater and is treated again before being supplied as drinking water. This method is called indirect potable reuse, and it is safe and scientifically proven. At first people were worried about drinking recycled water, so the government spent years educating the public, building trust, allowing people to visit NEWater plants, and even giving out bottled NEWater to show it was safe. Over time people accepted it. Today NEWater supplies about 40% of Singapore's total water demand, and this share is expected to increase in the future. The fourth solution was desalination. Singapore built desalination plants that turn seawater into fresh water. Seawater is abundant around Singapore, but desalination uses a lot of energy and is expensive, so Singapore did not rely on it alone. Instead it used desalination as part of a balanced system. Modern desalination plants in Singapore use energy-efficient technology and are designed to operate during dry periods when rainwater is low. Desalinated water now supplies around 30% of Singapore's water needs. Together rainwater, NEWater, and desalination form what Singapore calls the four national taps, the fourth tap being imported water from Malaysia. Over the years Singapore reduced its dependence on imported water by strengthening the other three taps. Imported water was once the main source, now it is much less important. Singapore also focused heavily on reducing water demand. Instead of only increasing supply, water conservation became part of daily life. Water prices were set to reflect the true cost of water. This discouraged waste. People who use more water pay more. There are no cheap unlimited water supplies. Strict plumbing standards were introduced. Water-efficient appliances were promoted, and low-flow taps and toilets became common. Industries were encouraged to recycle water and reduce usage. Public campaigns taught people simple habits like shorter showers and turning off taps. Water use per person steadily dropped over the years even as the population grew. Leaks were taken very seriously. Singapore has one of the lowest water loss rates in the world, meaning very little water is lost through leaking pipes. This is because pipes are well maintained, monitored, and quickly repaired. Singapore invested heavily in technology, sensors, data systems, and smart monitoring to manage water in real time. Water management is handled by one main agency called PUB. This avoids confusion and overlap. PUB controls everything from catchment to tap. Planning is long-term. Decisions are made decades ahead, not just for elections. Water infrastructure projects are expensive and take years, but Singapore committed to them anyway. education also played a key role. Water topics are taught in schools, children grow up understanding that water is precious. Public trust in science and institutions made it easier to introduce advanced solutions like water recycling. Laws are strict, polluting water sources leads to heavy fines and punishment. No one is allowed to treat water casually. Climate change has made rainfall less predictable, but Singapore prepared for this by diversifying water sources. If one source fails, others can cover the gap. This resilience is the core of Singapore's water strategy. It is not dependent on a single solution, it is a system. Over time, Singapore turned a weakness into a strength. Today, Singapore is a global leader in water technology. It exports water expertise, builds water plants in other countries, and hosts international water events. What once was a survival problem became an economic opportunity. The key reason Singapore succeeded is not because it had more water than others, but because it made hard decisions early, invested consistently, enforced laws strictly, trusted science, educated its people, and planned for the long term. Many countries have more natural water than Singapore but still face shortages because of poor management. Singapore proved that water security is not about geography, it is about policy, discipline, and vision. The story of Singapore's water success shows that even the most serious natural limitations can be overcome with smart planning, strong institutions, and public cooperation. Water was never treated as a free resource, it was treated as a valuable asset that must be protected, reused, and respected, and that is how Singapore fixed its water problem and secured its future.